stands? When will India come up with its own large language model that can compete and perhaps even better ChatGPT and DeepSeek? We'll try and put that to an expert. But first, what happened at the Global AI Action Summit in Paris?
AI is already reshaping our polity, our economy, our security, and even our society. AI is writing the code for humanity in this century. But it is very different from other technology milestones in human history. AI is developing at an unprecedented scale and speed, and being adapted and deployed even faster. There is also a deep interdependence across borders. Therefore, there is a need for collective global efforts to establish governance and standards that uphold our shared values, address risks, and build trust. It is also about promoting innovation and deploying it for the global good. So, we must think deeply and discuss openly about innovation and governance. We must pull together resources and talent. We must develop open source systems that enhance trust and transparency. Today, India leads in AI adoption and techno-legal solutions on data privacy.
So under the Modi government, several steps have been taken to be a part of this AI revolution. Recently, you heard the IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav say that more than 10,000 crores have been allocated to build what is called the India AI Mission, effectively a robust AI ecosystem. This was also the first government to open the GPU marketplace in India. Mr. Vaishnav also said that 18,000 GPUs will be imported. There are about half a dozen companies that have been identified to import those GPUs, 10,000 of which will be used in the AI mission. The government has also announced 500 crores for what is called the Artificial Intelligence Center of Excellence. This was announced in the Union Budget 2025 by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Also in the budget, 5 national AI skill centers which will have global partnerships with global technological companies as well as universities. That was also announced. And the government has also rolled out AI courses, whether it's for undergraduate, postgraduate, or even for PhD programs. But, like I said at the top, the world has been shocked and awed by the Chinese AI platform DeepSeek. So India may be behind, certainly compared to the United States, which has its own plethora of AI platforms that are being developed right now, and then, of course, the Chinese. But it has been making significant strides, whether it's in talent development, whether it's in industry growth, or in technological innovation. India is currently among the top 5 fastest growing AI talent hubs. The country is witnessing a huge surge in AI-related education, research, and it's fueled by world-class technical institutions like the IITs and the IISc, as well as a thriving tech ecosystem. India's AI industry is also on track to becoming a major player in the global market with an estimated market size of close to $30 billion by the end of this year. India's AI talent pool has expanded exponentially with a remarkable 14-fold increase in the number of AI-skilled professionals between 2016 and 2023. The demand for skilled AI professionals is expected to reach a staggering 1 million by 2026. India has emerged as a vibrant startup ecosystem with over 500 technology incubators and accelerators supporting AI innovation. With numerous government and private sector initiatives dedicated singularly to AI development, the country is accelerating its efforts to becoming a global leader in AI research and application. India currently ranks third in the world in terms of number of AI active programs.
I appreciate Prime Minister Modi's point. AI, I really believe, will facilitate and make people more productive. It is not going to replace human beings. It will never replace human beings. And I think too many of the leaders in the AI industry, when they talk about this fear of replacing workers, I think they really miss the point. AI, we believe, is going to make us more productive, more prosperous, and more free.
All right, I want to go across to Kartik Sharma. He's an AI expert and founder of Agnitio. Thank you very much, Kartik, for speaking with us. So the Prime Minister made a case for what he called a sustainable, ethical and inclusive AI. What may that mean? What are the current problems with the various models that we're seeing around, whether it's ChatGPT or the Chinese one, DeepSeek? Why do world leaders feel that it's not inclusive or even for that matter sustainable?
So primarily because of two reasons. One is most of the models in AI fraternity, they have what we call as training data sets. So those data sets in itself have to be more inclusive in terms of demographic, in terms of the type of data set that's included, because it's not only text, it's image data set, video, audio, the entire internet, right? So in that sense, if a particular region or a particular country is coming up with an AI model, it is somehow thought through that, the data sets may be skewed towards the ideology or the national strategy of that country. So in that sense, there is a conflict of interest. It may not be inclusive for the entire world. That's one. Second, there are also risks around, cybersecurity, deep fake, and the ways in which the AI could be manipulated, because most of these AI models are not what we call as XAI, which is explainable AI. So they do not open source, although we have seen in the case of DeepSeek, they have allowed for open source weight to be manipulated on their model probabilistic. But generally, these models are very closed, so you do not know what goes behind them. And in that sense, there is a belief of opaqueness in those models. So I think when Prime Minister Modi is talking about creating a robust governance framework at the world level, wherein all countries are contributing to this massive open source infrastructure so that everybody is aware of how a particular AI model is taking decisions. So it's explainable, and explainability builds trust in AI systems.
But Kartik, also tell me this. I mean, since you mentioned DeepSeek and the whole world was taken by shock and awe last few weeks when DeepSeek released its model, it seemed to be at par, if not better than the existing models of ChatGPT, etc. The whole reasoning argument that DeepSeek was able to put forth. Where is India with its AI mission? We know that 10,000 crores has been announced for the India AI mission. We know there's an excellence center that's been budgeted for in the Union Budget 2025. But when can we expect India's own ChatGPT or India's own DeepSeek to sort of take the market by storm like these other AI platforms have?
Yeah, no, I think a lot of entrepreneurs in last 2 or 3 weeks, thanks to the DeepSeek movement, I am seeing on social media, many of them are committing to the idea of creating a fundamental model out of India. But as of now, I haven't seen any fundamental models coming out, mostly at the application level, mostly at vernacularization, creating local versions of or wrappers on top of these foundational LLMs is something we have seen most of the Indian entrepreneurs playing at. But I think it's still down the lane where we see a truly Indian-owned sovereign fundamental LLM. And I think that's still a few months down the line. I haven't seen anybody even near to that level of standards of DeepSeek or OpenAI or Anthropic.
So just quickly as a follow-up before we conclude, what then is the impediment? Is it that Indian entrepreneurs don't want or necessarily require a foundational model? They just want to build on top of what is already existing? Or is it that there are fundamental sort of impediments for India coming up with a foundational model?
No, I don't think there's any fundamental impediment, because the only impediment theoretically could be infrastructure or GPUs. But thanks to what the government is offering and partnerships with companies like NVIDIA, I think a lot of large companies in India do have access to infrastructure. So I don't believe infrastructure is an impediment for large tech companies in India, or even startups for that matter, with billions of funding in play. I think most of the entrepreneurs in India have I hate to say it, but have taken the easy route of building services on top of something already available. I see so many startups creating like a multimodal solution that we can build a wrapper which can interplay or orchestrate between all these foundation models. You choose your LLM, we'll provide you a service. So I think it's been that picking up the easy way, which has led us to a situation where we are reliant. I mean, a lot of people are celebrating DeepSeek, but not a lot of them are talking about why India couldn't develop a DeepSeek with that level of resources, because you know the level of resources on compute DeepSeek use, right? Just 2,000 odd NVIDIA GPUs, which is not huge. A lot of companies in India could just afford it. But I think it's just that thought process of building something fundamental versus something quick and easy and just go on and make money. I think that's a fundamental sort of thought process which is missing in the ecosystem, I feel.
Karthik, thank you so much for that fascinating conversation. We'll be in touch with you. Thank you so much for joining us at the top of Brass Tacks. Let's shift focus from the Global AI Action Summit to back home and political news. It's been 3 days since the Aam Aadmi Party faced a crushing defeat in the Delhi Assembly election. Now speculation is rife about some form of internal dissent and a potential political shake-up in the AAP unit in Punjab. Congress and BJP both have mocked Kejriwal. They've alleged that the AAP is preparing ground to expel Bhagwant Mann as the Punjab Chief Minister. All this gathered steam even as Kejriwal today met with all the Punjab MLAs in Delhi at the Kapurthala House, which is the official residence of the Punjab Chief Minister in Delhi, Mr. Mann. It was a closed-door meeting that ended with Bhagwant Mann claiming that all is well with the Aam Aadmi Party in Punjab. He claimed that Kejriwal thanked the AAP workers for the grassroots work that they did in the party's campaign in Delhi. He also dismissed any threat to his government. He even claimed that he and his MLAs were in fact not summoned, but they came willingly to meet their party's national convener, Mr. Kejriwal. But the Aam Aadmi Party's rivals, both the Congress and the BJP, see that the dominoes of the loss in Delhi are soon likely to be felt in Punjab, or at least that's what they are claiming.
चुनाव हारने के बाद अरविंद केजरीवाल जी ने कल पंजाब के एमएलओ की बैठक दिल्ली में बुलाई है। ऐसा बताया जा रहा है कि अरविंद केजरीवाल जी अब भगवंत मान जी को नालायक बताकर, इनएफिशिएंट बताकर, उन्होंने औरतों का 1000 रुपया देने का वादा पूरा नहीं किया, पंजाब में नशा नहीं वो रोक पा रहे, पंजाब के लॉ एंड ऑर्डर हालात खराब हो गए हैं, ये कहकर भगवंत मान जी को हटाना चाहते हैं और खुद अपने एमएलओ से ये कहलाकर कि अरविंद केजरीवाल अच्छे आदमी, इनको मुख्यमंत्री बनाओ, ऐसा वो सपना देख रहे हैं।
जो मैंने प्रेडिक्शन कल की थी वही होगा। केजरीवाल और आम आदमी पार्टी पंजाब में मिड टर्म की पोल की तरफ बढ़ रही है। देखिए, पंजाब एक सेकुलर स्टेट है जी। हमारे गुरु ने अगर हिंदू के लिए अपने शीश दे दिया चांदनी चौक में आकर, तो ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है, पर बाहर वाला को आदमी है उसको बिल्कुल एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेंगे।
All right, I want to go across to Mr. Pratap Singh Bajwa, senior Congress MLA and leader of the Congress there in the Assembly in Punjab. Mr. Bajwa, you made specific allegations against the AAP after Mr. Kejriwal and the AAP's defeat here in Delhi. You said, you know, there is an operation going on to remove Bhagwant Mann. Bhagwant Mann today was asked about it, and he said Mr. Bajwa has been making these claims for the last 3 years. Please ask him to count the number of MLAs the Congress has in Delhi. How would you respond to that? He's dismissing your claims.
See, he's dismissing because he's not in touch with me. He's in touch with the Union Home Minister. And his contact between the Home Minister and him is Ranveer Singh Bittu, the Union Minister, a former MP of ours who was brought in from the Congress, got into the BJP. He's now a Union Minister. He's the link between Mann. And I've said this, Mr. Jacob, more than a year earlier, even on the floor of the Punjab Vidhan Sabha, that the next Eknath Shinde of Punjab would be Bhagwant Mann. Because there's already a bitter fight on between AAP in Delhi and AAP Punjab. And just wait for a couple of more months or a couple of more weeks. This whole plan to basically get this government down is being started by the union, by the Bharatiya Janata Party. It is not being done by us. But one thing is for sure, and even I will still commit to that there are more than 30 MLAs of the AAP who are very much in touch with me since the last 1 year. But it is not Congress policies to dislodge this government. They themselves feel that AAP winning from the AAP was a one-way ticket to the moon, where there's no way to come back. They have no future ahead. They feel we have misled the people once, and you have seen the results, Mr. Jacob, in the parliament polls. From 92 MLAs, they have come down to 32. They have not won a single this mayor election or municipality election in the recent elections in Punjab.
But
most
Mr.
of the
Bajwa,
MLAs
can you explain the plausibility of this? To say that Mr. Kejriwal will fight the by-election from Ludhiana West or will become a Rajya Sabha MP from Punjab, how does that work? I mean, everybody knows that Mr. Kejriwal is neither from Punjab nor does he belong to the Sikh population. How can he remove an incumbent chief minister and install himself there, or anybody of his choice for that matter?
Mr. Jacob, instead of asking me, you should ask this question to the AAP unit chief of Punjab, Aman Arora. Just 3 days earlier, just a day earlier to the Delhi polls, he gave a statement in Punjab with a leading English paper. In an interview, he said it's not necessary that Punjab must have a Sikh chief minister. It could be otherwise too. So, as a person from a secular party, we have no problems. Anybody from any community can be there. But Aman saying that when a seat is vacant from Ludhiana, and when everybody knows, Mr. Jacob, all your reporters, all your people know, even in Punjab, for the last 3 months, the talk is on that once Delhi elections are over, once these Delhi elections are over, they are going to pack off Bhagwant.
Okay. All right.
And Kejriwal would be asked to step in. See, this is going to happen. Just wait for another 5 to 7 weeks' time.
Okay, we'll be in touch. We'll see if it happens. But thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Bajwa, the leader of the opposition there in Punjab and senior Congress leader. So here's the thing. On the face of it, clearly Mr. Maan has dismissed it. He's denied it. He has said that there's no question of any leadership change in Punjab, and this whole thing is a conspiracy that's being floated by both the Congress and the BJP just to destabilize his government. But the fact of the matter is that Mr. Kejriwal is the national convener of the Aam Aadmi Party, and he now that he's lost his MLA seat as well in the Delhi legislative elections, he needs to look for a role beyond that of his party's own convener, because he needs to have a platform and relevance. So here are the speculations of the likely options before Mr. Kejriwal. Number one, and this is the easy route, that Mr. Kejriwal could possibly enter the Rajya Sabha from Punjab. Remember, the AAP has 7 MPs from Punjab. In fact, they have 10. 7 of them are from Punjab and 3 of them are from Delhi. The problem with taking the Delhi route is that if they test the Delhi numbers, especially after the assembly elections where the AAP was reduced from 62 to 22, then the AAP may not win if they field Mr. Kejriwal by getting one of their Delhi MPs to step down. But from Punjab, because the numbers are much more sure-footed, in fact, the AAP has more than 85 MLAs in Punjab. So the numbers are certainly much more favorable in Punjab. So that's one option, getting one of the MPs from Punjab to step down, and Mr. Kejriwal then steps in as the MP of AAP from Punjab. Then there is the AAP National General Secretary Sandeep Pathak, who could make way for Kejriwal's entry. The second option is that Mr. Kejriwal replaces Bhagwant Maan. Now, this is not easy. Mr. Kejriwal is not from Punjab. He's an outsider in a state which takes grave pride in its linguistic history, its culture, its rootedness. This will not be an easy one to do. Also, Mr. Kejriwal is not Sikh, and Punjab, from what I can remember, in its past, has not had a non-Sardar, non-Sikh chief minister. Certainly not in the last 3, 4, 5 decades. That too has been dismissed by senior AAP leaders who say that Bhagwant Maan will continue as Punjab chief minister till 2027, when the state is due for elections. And the third option is that Kejriwal could consider contesting from the Ludhiana West Assembly seat. It was a seat held by the Aam Aadmi Party. Unfortunately, the sitting MLA there passed away, and he could be fielded as the AAP candidate from Ludhiana West. Again, a tricky one, because yes, it's an urban centre. Yes, the AAP has a significant presence there. But like I said, Mr. Kejriwal being an outsider and also not belonging to the Sikh community, his win from there is not a sure shot. So that too is a risky option.
इनको बोलने दो जी, इनका काम है जी, इनका बस हमने अपने खून पसीने से पार्टी बनाई है जी, ठीक है ना। तो हमने अपने मतलब मेहनत करके घर घर जाके, गलियों में जाके, गाँव में जाके, कस्बों में, शहरों में जाके हमने पार्टी बनाई। तो हम ऐसे असल में ना उनको, उनके यहाँ कल्चर है इधर जाने का, कभी उधर आने का, कभी वापस आने का, तो अपना फिक्र नहीं करते, दूसरों में नुक्स निकालते रहते हैं।
All right, I want to move on to the other story that we're tracking. There's been a huge uproar, an FIR, an apology. That's how the Ranveer Allahabadiya controversy has transpired just in the last 24 hours after a clip of his crass comments on a YouTube show called India's Got Latent went viral. The Assam police was the first to file an FIR against him, which was then followed up by an FIR in Mumbai, even though the complaint was first registered in Mumbai and the show in fact happened in Khar in Mumbai. YouTube took down that video, that particular episode, after the government stepped in. The NHRC has now written to YouTube to censure content that is inappropriate. The Cine workers' body has also slammed Ranveer Allahabadiya for the language that he used. One of the guests, popular singer B. Prak, who was supposed to be the next guest on Ranveer Allahabadiya's podcast, has called it off. A parliamentary panel could likely take up this case as well after the issue was raised in the Lok Sabha today. The National Commission for Women has summoned Ranveer Allahabadiya, Samay Raina and others who took part in that show over the derogatory remarks made in that show. They have to appear before the NCW on the 17th of February. So, Ranveer Allahabadiya's remarks will cost him subscribers, it can cost him brand deals, and of course, this will be a real fork in the road for him because his image has taken a huge beating. Allahabadiya's overall social media subscriber or follower base has declined just in the last couple of days. It's declined by almost 1.5 lakh, according to analysis by influencer marketing intelligence platform. In fact, his YouTube channel, which is called Beer Biceps, has lost about 40,000 subscribers since yesterday, just in the last 24 hours. He has a second YouTube channel, which is called Ranveer Allahabadiya, which has lost another 20,000 subscribers. So in all, about 60,000 subscribers lost just on YouTube alone. On Instagram, he's lost more than 70,000 followers between his two accounts, one of which is that of his show, and the other, of course, is his personal Instagram account. Now, many brand experts and market experts believe that this controversy will have an impact. Ranveer Allahabadiya currently is the brand ambassador, if you will, or at least he markets anywhere between 15 to 20 brands. Many of those brands will be reassessing their association with Mr. Allahabadiya, given the nature of the comments and the severe backlash that we've seen across the country in response to those comments.
मैं ना यार एक पॉडकास्ट में जाने वाला था अभी एंड वी कैंसल दैट। क्यों? क्योंकि आपको पता है कि वो कैसी पैथेटिक थिंकिंग है और कैसे शब्द यूज करे गए हैं समय रैना के शो पे। ये हमारा इंडियन कल्चर नहीं है, ये हमारा कल्चर ही नहीं है। आप सनातन धर्म को प्रमोट करते हो, स्पिरिचुअलिटी की बात करते हो, इतने बड़े बड़े लोग आपके पॉडकास्ट पे आते हैं, इतने बड़े बड़े संत आते हैं आपके पॉडकास्ट पे, और आपकी इतनी घटिया सोच है।
As we are aware, there has been much outrage over the recent performance of India's Got Latent, and there has been strict action which has now been mulled. First of all, coming under government pressure, and after a letter dashed off by NHRC, the YouTube had to pull down this particular episode. But that's not clearly enough. There's a growing demand that all the social media platforms which provide them a platform for these kind of situations or episodes, strict action and regulation must take place. But let's focus a bit of attention on the actual performers and producers of the show. Already an FIR has been filed by the Assam police. They are already reaching Mumbai. They are going to question all the performers as well as the producers Samay Raina and of course Ranveer Allahabadiya. Apart from that, the Mumbai police has already been to the residence of say Ranveer Allahabadiya. They also went into the venue where this performance took place, and the questioning is still going on as far as the producers and the performers of the show is concerned. The matters do not end here. NCW has already summoned all of them on 17th of February, where they will be asked to explain their action and their performance as well. Apart from this, cutting across party line, politicians have condemned this particular show, and the Parliamentary Standing Committee on IT has already decided to summon them at their next meeting. In fact, at that meeting, Ranveer will also be called in and asked to explain that how could he even think of using such words which are complete opposite of what Indian culture and ethos is all about. But it's very clear from the words of both government as well as politicians across party lines that the parliament has already taken cognizance of this incident and wants to take stronger action. We know with the Mumbai police swinging into action, with Assam FIR and FIR also filed by Madhya Pradesh, it is very clear that the heat is on all of them, particularly on Ranveer, because he is considered to be the one with a maximum number of followers on both Instagram as well as YouTube. He has a substantial following, and the concern is that he can be, as an influencer, bring about a wrong influence, especially among the younger generation. YouTube also is facing flack, and not just this, OTT platforms, other social media platforms are now being put on alert, and this question is being asked of them that how can they run away from any responsibility? The country in which they are operating in, the rules of that country applies, and shouldn't they have been more careful and taken cognizance? Why is it that the NHRC had to send out a letter, the government had to put pressure on the YouTube, and it's only after that that episode was pulled down? But meanwhile, it's a huge lesson for many of the performers and producers. Not just this, evidence has come out, it was a replica of a show which is played abroad, and therefore the words which were used by the performers was very similar to that. So it was not that it was an off-the-cuff comment. The investigative authorities feel that it was very much scripted, and all those who were performing were very well aware of what they were saying and why they were saying, because they were asked to say so. So it's very clear, strong, bad days ahead, with all the sides in no mood to let them go, and they want to take a stricter action, also set up an example for future that all social media platforms, stand-up comedians and all those who perform will also have to follow the rules and the laws, and more importantly, take cognizance of what India's culture and ethos and principles are all about.
So here's why the problems and the legal troubles for Ranveer have just gotten compounded. Now, there has been a technicality whereby the Assam FIR and the Assam police have also filed a case against him. There are two problems for Ranveer. Number one, the Assam FIR got filed before the FIR in Mumbai, and as per a Supreme Court judgment, if there are multiple FIRs for cases such as this, the Supreme Court has gone by the precedent that wherever the first FIR is filed, that's where the case will proceed. All the FIRs will be bunched together. Now, in this case, for whatever reason, the first complaint was filed in Mumbai, but the first FIR was filed by the Assam police. In fact, the Assam police is already in Mumbai, and they will be hoping to take Mr. Alabadia on transit remand back to Guwahati, where this case has been registered. The second problem is, in the Assam FIR, they've also included Section 95 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which means using child sexual exploitation or pornography. That is a non-bailable offence, as opposed to all the other charges that he's been booked under in the Mumbai FIR, for which he would likely get bail, because those are bailable offences. But the Assam FIR has a non-bailable offence, which means if a court of law is not inclined to give him bail when he's produced, after he's taken on transit remand by the Assam police, Mr. Alabadia could likely go to jail. So his troubles have not quite ended. But I do also want to bring in the stark contrast, because Alabadia has a lot more to lose. Some would say even much more than Samay Raina, because Mr. Raina's dank comedy, as it's called, is within that framework. You go in expecting that kind of content, as bad as what it was that was put out on Sunday in that episode of India's Got Latent, whereas Alabadia stands to lose brand endorsements. Most importantly, guests, credible guests who have come on a show might now think twice or thrice before going back on that show. Let's also play out the apology that he issued yesterday right after this incident went viral.
My comment wasn't just inappropriate, it wasn't even funny. Comedy is not my forte. I'm just here to say sorry. Many of you asked if this is how I wish to use my platform, and obviously this is not how I wish to use it. I personally had a lapse in judgment. It wasn't cool on my part. I've asked the makers of the video to remove the insensitive sections from the video. And all I can say in the end is, I'm sorry. I hope you can forgive me as a human being.
And that video has now been removed from that particular episode of the YouTube channel of Samay Raina's, which is India's Got Latent. Anyway, let's now move on to the other big story. The 21-month-long ethnic conflict in Manipur resulted in the resignation of Chief Minister Biren Singh over the weekend. For the last couple of days, the BJP was trying to build a consensus on a new leader, but it seems that the BJP has not been able to arrive at a new leader, a new Chief Minister for Manipur. The BJP's Northeast in charge, Sambit Patra, who's been camping in Imphal since the resignation of Biren Singh, met today with Governor Ajay Kumar Bhalla, the former Home Secretary, to apprise him about the political situation. Now that the BJP has not been able to find a consensus candidate who can be the next Chief Minister of Manipur, it is likely that President's rule will be imposed in the state. Remember, the Assembly has not been convened for the last 6 months now. As per Article 356 of the Constitution of India, imposition of President's rule will transfer all the functions of the state government onto the centre, and functions of the state legislature will pass on to the Parliament of India. Only the functioning of the courts, the high courts and other courts of law, the lower courts and the district courts, will remain unchanged. All the rest of it, from law and order to welfare, will have to be undertaken by the Governor's office, the Raj Bhavan.
The clock is ticking for Manipur. There's intense speculation on the streets of Imphal that the state will see governor's rule followed by president's rule very soon. It is expected that the notification for governor's rule will be issued any time now. This speculation started with even more intensity after Sambit Patra, the Bharatiya Janata Party MP who's in charge of Northeast, he called on Governor Ajay Bhalla late this afternoon. Post that, there was speculation that the Bharatiya Janata Party, and this is what sources are also confirming, that the Bharatiya Janata Party has not come up with any consensus candidate as far as the Manipur legislators are concerned. Sambit Patra met all legislators individually and also in groups, and post that it seems that the Bharatiya Janata Party has not managed to reach any consensus as to who should replace Biren Singh. The problem here is that Biren Singh has stepped down, but he is not happy with any of his opponents or the dissident group taking over as his replacement. The other side, which was opposed to Biren Singh, also is unable to show that they have enough numbers to give a stable government. So technically what happens from here on? The first thing is that on the 12th of August, the Manipur Assembly had been adjourned sine die. So tomorrow is 12th of February, which means 6 months would have elapsed since the last Assembly session. That is a constitutional position that if you have to call the Assembly within 6 months, otherwise it goes into suspended animation. One view is that because the Assembly can go into suspended animation from tomorrow itself, so the Governor's report recommending President's rule should come in before that. But there are some constitutional experts who are pointing out that since the Chief Minister has already resigned and there's a caretaker government, the 6 months rule can be bypassed. If the Governor sends his report, it will be to the President via the Home Ministry, and the Home Ministry will then, before sending it to the President, will put it up for the Cabinet's approval. Since the Prime Minister is not in the country at the moment, it is unlikely that in his absence, the Cabinet will consider the Governor's report. So perhaps that's also a consideration that is being kept in mind while the Governor is taking his next steps. But it is very clear right now that President's rule, Governor's rule followed by President's rule is what Manipur is staring at. It's just a matter of time as to how soon Governor Ajay Bhalla initiates that process.
Meanwhile, Reliance Industries chairman Mukesh Ambani, along with his family, took a holy dip at the Triveni Sangam in Prayagraj earlier today. This was at the Mahakumbh. He was accompanied by his mother, Kokilaben Ambani, and other family members, including his son Akash, daughter-in-law Shloka, his son Anant, and daughter-in-law Radhika. The 4 generations of Ambanis joined millions on a spiritual pilgrimage at the confluence of the sacred waters of the Ganga, Yamuna and the Saraswati. Let's listen in to some reactions that came in right after.
आज अंबानी फैमिली महाकुंभ में आई और यहाँ पर संगम में स्नान किया। हमारे साथ अनंत अंबानी जी। अनंत जी, आप बात करते हैं मीडिया को और आज आप महाकुंभ में आए, कैसा लगा यहाँ पर आकर, क्या अनुभूति हुई?
बहुत अच्छा लगा और जी स्नान करके मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई, बहुत शांति मिली।
परिवार के साथ गंगा पूजन किया, क्या कामना की है सर?
भगवान सबका भला करे।
सर भोजन सेवा भी आपने की है, यहाँ पर भोजन सेवा की है,
भगवान का आशीर्वाद जी।
बस माँ गंगा से क्या कामना की सर? एक
बहुत अच्छा लगा मुझे, यहाँ आकर और स्नान करके बहुत अच्छा लगा. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. और बस भगवान से प्रार्थना करता हूँ कि सब जगह सुख और संपत्ति रहे.
Meanwhile, India is moving from being the world's largest arms importer to being a self-reliant manufacturer of weapons, and that is exactly what's on display at the ongoing Aero Expo in Bengaluru. The second day of the Aero India show showcased innovation, partnerships and defense collaboration. Bilateral deals are being discussed. The event is underscoring India's growing prominence in the global defense landscape. From the launch of a cargo drone to the announcement of new collaborations, the day's developments signaled a strong commitment to advancing military partnerships. Defense ministers from multiple countries have come as a guest to Aero India. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh stressed the need to modernize the military and to boost domestic defense production to counter the rival China and its growing military strength and growing influence in both South and Southeast Asia. But the highlight of the Aero India so far has been the presence of the fifth generation stealth fighter jets by both Russia and by the United States. The Russian Sukhoi 57 and the American F-35, two of the world's most advanced fifth generation stealth fighter jets, both of them in the same air show, and that too in the backdrop of the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, where America and Russia find themselves on either side of the political divide, either side of the military divide. Both the Sukhoi 57 and the F-35 Lightning took to the skies of Bengaluru on the very first day of Aero India. So which of these two fifth generation stealth fighter jets has the edge? It's a difficult question because the two aircraft were designed for different roles and developed under distinct economic and industrial differences. Here's how the Sukhoi 57 compares with the F-35 Lightning II. The F-35 is a Lockheed Martin's most widely deployed fifth-generation stealth fighter. It's got a length of 15.7 meters. The Sukhoi 57, which made its debut at Aero India, spans almost 20 meters in length. The wingspan, on the other hand, again, the Sukhoi 57 is slightly bigger than the F-35. The F-35 is at 10.7 meters. The Sukhoi is a little more bigger at 14 meters. The Sukhoi 57 also beats the lightning speed of the F-35 when it comes to maximum speed. Remember, the F-35s are at Mach 1.6, which is just under the speed of light, whereas the Sukhoi 57 is above Mach 2.5, which means close to 2,500 kilometers per hour. The F-35 has no thrust vectoring, while the Russian-made Sukhois have got 3D vectoring and extreme agility. The F-35 Lightning II has a combat range of 2,200 kilometers. The Sukhoi 57, on the other hand, has a longer range of close to 3,500 kilometers. About the loads that they're able to carry, the F-35 can carry external munitions with a 1x25mm GAU-22A cannon. The Sukhoi 57 can carry a 1x30mm cannon with external ammunition. The F-35 has an APG-81 ASA radar, which is distributed aperture system and an electro-optical targeting system. The Sukhoi 57, on the other hand, has an I-band radar and an infrared search and track. Both of them pass the stealth capabilities. The American jet has low radar cross-section and advanced passive detection, while the Russian jet, the Sukhoi, is optimized for reduced detection. But the estimated cost, and this is where it varies quite dramatically, the F-35 Lightning II costs anywhere between $80 to $90 million per unit, while the Sukhoi 57 costs about half of that. So at the Aero India in Bengaluru, the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, which is at the forefront of the domestic defense manufacturing industry, showcased its dominance with flight displays featuring the Tejas Mark I. These, of course, have the GE 440 engines. CNN News 18 spoke to the HAL CMD DK Sunil because there have been concerns about the GE delaying the transfer of technology when it comes to the 414 engines, which is something that was agreed upon back in 2023 when Prime Minister visited Washington, D.C. That's an issue that could likely come up when PM meets Mr. Trump, President Trump, later this week. But here's the HAL CMD talking about the timelines both for the Tejas Mark I and the Tejas Mark II.
As you are aware, we flew 3 of the LCA Mark I Alpha yesterday. So we have started building this aircraft and testing them with Cat B engines, that is, and we will get these aircraft ready We have had a setback in terms of engine supplies from General Electric, and they have been delayed since August 23. Now GE has assured us that they will deliver these engines from March 25 onwards, and we expect 12 engines in this year. So I think the technical issues are behind us, and we will be able to deliver these aircraft. Notwithstanding that, we are building the aircraft. We have also set up a line in Nasik. So we are building these aircraft and getting them ready.
So a host of defense deals expected, both in the France leg of the Prime Minister's visit as well as, of course, when he goes to the United States. Let's try and speak with retired Air Marshal Sanjeev Kapoor, especially when it comes to the fifth generation stealth fighters, which seem to be all the talk of town, Air Marshal, currently in the Aero show in Bengaluru. You have the F-35s from the American side, you have the Sukhoi 57s from the Russians. But first things first, President Trump and Prime Minister Modi had that phone call in January, just ahead of the visit, which is going to happen tomorrow and day after, where President Trump said that he would like India to buy more defense equipment. Are fifth generation stealth fighters on the anvil? Is that something that India would be looking at, the F-35s or the F-18s? And how does India balance that with what we already have delivered from the French, which is the Rafales?
Plane is 4.5. The 4.5 generation. So the fifth generation typically, which have been used globally, and in the recent conflicts that you see going on in Israel and Russia, Ukraine, both these countries, the NATO as well as the Russians, have utilized their F-35s and Su-57s. Now, when you come typically comparing these two aeroplanes, in many things, the Su-57 is better. And in many things, the F-35 is better. F-35 is more proven because it has taken part in Middle East, it has taken part in campaigns across. Whereas the Russian utilization has primarily been Ukraine and a little bit in Syria. So towards that, there is a difference. But let's bring our discussion to the main point which you began with.
Yeah.
The ANCA program is basically hinging on the F-414 engines, which the American GE is supposed to give.
Yeah.
So I'm sure in this visit of the Honorable Prime Minister, these discussions will come up with the American leadership about the delay in delivery of these aeroplanes, because our LCA project itself is getting delayed because of the 404, which was to be given earlier, delayed. So that would be one reason why this thing. The second reason which I feel the India has already, the visit is so programmed, I feel it strategically. The Prime Minister has gone from France to America.
Yeah.
So these matters would have been surely discussed in France. Now I take back your viewers and you into history. Not long ago, in July 2023, about 1.5 years plus ago, there was a company, the French company called Safran. So this company was to joint develop and combat engine along with DRDO. Because engine manufacturing is the critical part today. And they also offered Safran at that stage to produce Indian multi-role helicopters. Again, the Safran company offered. So this had moved to a great extent at that stage. But somewhere in 2024, this thing fizzled out. I don't know the reasons for back end this thing.
Okay.
But in this while, from 2024, India has struck two very important deals with the French. One is we are buying 26 Rafales M, that is the maritime version for the Indian Navy.
Yeah.
And we are getting 3 Scorpion submarines. So this will add to the naval power. Now, on the sidelines, what I feel is that India is already using a lot of equipment from France, be it Rafales, be it Mirage 2000s, be it Jaguars, be it Chetak, Cheetahs. So all have French. And French being the country which were the first producers of fly-by-wire. So the Airbus aircraft which all of us traveled. The fly-by-wire came about 40 years ago. The Mirage 2000, which came in 80s, has fly-by-wire. So the technology of the French in producing fine things, especially avionics and this kind of thing, is exceptional. So
but Marshal, if I may, it's with Trump, it's slightly different because he views it as a business transaction, not necessarily from a tactical or even a strategic point of view. So how does India balance that? And the point that you were making earlier about the GE 414 cooperation, I understand that the reluctance is for transfer of technology, and that's always been a case with American-made equipment. How does India navigate that sensitivity?
The solution, Zakka, is we have to be self-reliant. Till we are dependent, because the tap may close at any time. Now, the present conflict is a live example, the Russia-Ukraine conflict. We had a lot of equipment in IFOs which were Ukrainian manufactured.
Correct.
We have a lot of equipment which is Russian manufactured. We have got air defense equipment like S-400 and others which are Russian manufactured. Now, with this conflict, obviously they would like to produce things for their own usage earlier, and then whatever is left would be exported to other countries which are there. So if tomorrow the war or the conflict increases to a level wherein every country would like to keep those assets for themselves, you will find we have to be self-reliant. Now, self-reliance in, I always tell this, the aircraft engine manufacturing is like manufacturing capabilities like nuclear. Nobody will share. Only 4 to 5 countries globally manufacture aircraft engines, and they don't want to part. Because for your viewers and for a common man, the metallurgy required to produce a jet engine, especially which is operating at 1000 degrees centigrade at the hot end, which is rotating at 15,000 RPM. Metallurgy is so different. The machine cutting and lathe is so complex that we may design also. We may produce also, but to develop and get the equipment is the key part which we don't have. So we will have to have initially a partnership like the C295 model which has just happened. The Prime Minister inaugurated in October with the Spanish Prime Minister.
Correct.
Wherein we have bought 16 aeroplanes directly from CASA Airbus, where Tata is the Indian company. Yeah. And the indigenous component is 48%, which is likely to go up to 78% in the coming years. But this remaining 22%, which is there, is what we are discussing now. This part is a weak area. We may develop anything, but like ejection seat for a fighter aeroplane, the aero engines, the high-end radars, avionics, electronic warfare suits, certain kinds of weapons, we have to catch up to it.
All right. Air Marshal Sanjeev Kapoor, as always, a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for joining us here on CNN News 18. Thank you. The possible meeting between Trump and Modi in the White House brings renewed focus on US-India ties, particularly in the realm of defense cooperation. With Trump's vocal support for strengthening the Quad and his insistence that India purchase more American-made defense equipment, the stage is set for an exciting White House visit as early as mid-February. But let's critically examine the potential defense deals, the technological challenges there are, including the GE jet engine en passe, and of course the broader Indo-Pacific strategy to counter the rising Chinese threat. Under Trump's first term, the US administration frequently touted defense partnerships and the benefits of US technology. Trump is now expected to push even harder for India to increase its purchases of American defense equipment. One likely area of expansion is in advanced fighter jet technology. While India has long sought to modernize its air force, including importing the 5th generation Rafale jets from France, the question does arise, can India potentially acquire a 6th generation fighter jet from the United States? At present, America is in the early stages of developing a 6th generation fighter. These platforms are envisioned to feature ultra-stealth capabilities, advanced sensor fusions, hypersonic speeds, and artificial intelligence-driven systems. However, right now, no 6th generation fighter is available yet, either for production or for export. In the near term, Trump is likely to press India to consider expanding its fleet from the F-35 stealth fighters, which is already a mainstay of US weapons exports. India could also look at joint development programs that incorporate next-generation technologies over the coming few decades. The Trump administration's push for a stronger defense industrial base could result in more collaborative ventures. Beyond fighter jets, some potential new defense deals could include advanced missile systems, enhanced air-to-air and surface-to-air missiles, which improve the Indian Air Forces and the Army's capabilities against modern-day aerial threats. There's also naval technologies, next-generation destroyers, frigates, and littoral combat vehicles that incorporate advanced radar and weapon systems for maritime security. Remember, when the Prime Minister went for the state visit in June of 2023, the Navy had announced that they were procuring the MQ-9B Predator drones, some of which will be delivered soon in 2025 and 2026. Also, unmanned systems, aerial and maritime drones for surveillance, reconnaissance and combat, which are now increasingly vital, as is being seen in the Russia-Ukraine war. Modern-day warfare is being defined by which country has better drone technology. And then, of course, there is cyberspace and aerospace capabilities, joint research and development in cybersecurity and space-based assets, which are critical for integrated defense systems in the 21st century. Added to this, the recent announcement from China about its indigenous sixth-generation fighter jet has added urgency to these discussions between India and America. China unveiling its conceptual sixth-generation fighter jet, a platform reportedly which has breakthrough stealth technology, hypersonic propulsion, and integrated sensor networks, has set off alarms in strategic circles. China, back in December of 2024, unveiled what it called the White Emperor, or the Bai-D, which is a sixth-generation fighter. It is a strategic inflection point, particularly in the ongoing strategic competition between India and China. The very idea of China fielding such advanced technology represents a strategic threat, not just for India, but also for the United States. India's geographical proximity to China and the long-standing border dispute with Beijing, all of this means that any significant leap in Chinese air power could substantially tilt the regional military balance. For India, this underscores the need to accelerate its own modernization program and to secure advanced technology from the United States. Even if a sixth-generation fighter is not immediately available, the prospect of a Chinese leap in air technology acts as a catalyst both for India and for the United States to deepen their defense procurement and joint development of military technology. One area of considerable concern in this regard for India's defense modernization is the delay in the GE jet engine deal with HAL, which was announced in 2023 when Prime Minister Modi had a state visit to the United States. The agreement was intended to enable Indian partners like Hindustan Aeronautics Limited to co-develop and produce advanced jet engines, the 414 GE jet engines, that would power the indigenous fighter plane, the Tejas. However, GE's reluctance to share crucial technology with its Indian partner has pushed back the timelines quite significantly. The core issue is that of intellectual property. GE has been cautious about transferring sensitive engine technology, and that, of course, underpins its own competitive edge in the global aerospace market. This reticence has led to delays in integrating the GE HAL engine into the Tejas aircraft. This would be the Mark II engine for the Tejas Mark II. For the Indian Air Force, the induction of the Tejas Mark II with its modern and reliable engines is absolutely critical. The evolving security environment in the Indo-Pacific is also a challenge and an opportunity for US-India cooperation. With China aggressively expanding its military capabilities and projecting power in the South China Sea and the East China Sea, both US and India need to recalibrate. To counter China's advances, the US and India can deepen joint military exercises. Right now there are the Quad exercises, the Malabar exercises as they're called, which involves India, Japan and the United States and also Australia. They could also consider intelligence sharing, technology transfer. A more robust defense partnership would help both Washington and Delhi with their core strengths and also jointly counter a hegemonic China. The Quad, or the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, which comprises the US, India, Japan and Australia, is emerging as a critical forum for shaping regional security dynamics. In Trump's first term, there was significant support for the Quad as a counterbalance to China. In fact, Quad got elevated to the foreign minister's level when Trump was in office in his first term. Subsequently, his successor Joe Biden elevated the Quad meeting to a heads of government level with a yearly Quad summit.
Rise above.
Viewers, is it underway here in India? Has it begun? Is it deeply entrenched already? These are some of the questions. And we are talking about an effort to build a critical mass to discredit the Indian state in the eyes of the public to such an extent that the people will rise up against it. Could the seeds of insurrection that we witnessed in Dhaka be beginning to sprout on Indian soil in a way that they overwhelm the government and other levers of the state? Sporadic attempts, viewers, at paralyzing the state have been witnessed over the last few years, and you know them. The Shaheen Bagh occupation and the protests there, the anti-CA riots, anarchic protests against the farm laws, protests against the lockdown during the height of COVID. Thankfully, all these protests vaporized because their sponsors could not, despite their best efforts, let me tell you, viewers, convince a larger section of the population to join their cause. But that was the past. Now the effort to spark mass instability is being dignified not only by shadowy sponsors, but also through loose talk by the political mainstream here, right here in our country, in India, in our parliament, viewers. Rahul Gandhi talked about waging a war on the Indian state a few weeks ago in Parliament. And now it is a senior Congress MP suggesting the very same thing. This just can't be a coincidence. Or is it? First listen, viewers.
The BJP and the RSS have captured every single institution of our country. We are now fighting the BJP, the RSS and the Indian state itself.
जब लोग सड़कों पे आ जाएंगे, सिविल डिसोबीडियंस होगी, जब लोग अपने हक पहचानेंगे कि संविधान के नीचे वी द पीपल हम हकदार बनके हम बोलेंगे, ये पहले देश ने देखा है और भविष्य में होगा ये.
I mean, viewers, it's almost as if they're celebrating the possibility of this happening. They want it to happen. They're waiting for it to happen. They're wishing for it to happen, viewers. I've never, ever encountered, viewers, political parties or national leaders almost goading the public into an insurrection, into a mutiny, into a rebellion. Call it what you want, into a revolt. Call it what you want to, viewers. I'm sure a whole generation of Indians must remember back in the day, in 1975 and the lead up to 1975, the emergency when a large number of protests had started gathering, viewers, and then they at some level attained that critical mass that it takes to overwhelm the state. And Indira Gandhi had to respond with the emergency. I don't know what these people are getting at, viewers, but the talk of insurrection, let me tell you, has alarmed the ruling government as it is gathering pace in India on the back of revelations of regime change fueled in neighboring Bangladesh. One of the central facilitators of the coup in Bangladesh is USAID. It's a shadowy organization that many people in the United States says, viewers, is part of the US State Department, the deep state, and is affiliated to intelligence agencies and all of that. The Trump administration has shut it down, saying it was infested with anarchists, lunatics and radicals from the left. These are his words, not mine. We wouldn't have known had an insider not gone public about what happened in Bangladesh and the role of USAID. We are talking about Mike Benz, who is now assisting Elon Musk to clean up the deep state. And that's the man on the extreme right of your screens, that gentleman there in the tie. And that's Elon Musk, viewer. That's why we put them in the same frame. There's a reason. And Mike Benz has come out and says, let's say it is vital to US national interest to build a military base in Bangladesh to counter China. But the Bangladeshi Prime Minister refuses. Our foreign policy planners then decide that regime change is necessary. All options to destabilize the country. And it's a lengthy exchange. He gave an interview to Tucker Carlson. I think I talked about it yesterday also, viewers, on the show. And he goes into explaining how US aid was roped in and how they paid money to various elements in society. Certain